I have the poems on the screen.
All right.
Okay. In their order, I carefully selected about 4 of them, but you have given me the right to read 3.
Yeah, 3 because 3 is more powerful than 4.
So let me look for the most powerful. Okay. The title of the poem I found delightful to read this evening is called I Do Not Need Your Oil to Be a Prophet, Not Even Your Solar to Be a Preacher. I do not need your oil to be a prophet, not even your scholar to be a preacher. So I don't know if I can take that with you.
Please read.
All right, the poem says here, my dear prophets and critics, I can stand tall. No flakes, black oil can make me fall. I do not need your barrels to speak truth. No sermons with diamonds to guide the youth. My thinking is not adorned with heavenly wealth and gold, nor my sermons with offerings and tithes, bought or sold. I preach not for members, wealth, or the promised friend. But with my pain, I can ignite hearts with a righteous flame. Your crude endeavor I will disdain, for my prophecy is never fueled by gain. As a poet, no color can constrain my soul's reach. No view of opulence can silence my speech. In this world of greed and deception, I will define your lavish perception. For a people to do no oil grace, not expensive to find their clothes. Spare me your sermons of riches, spare me your imaginary of tempestuous speaks. For true enlightenment lies in the impartial ink of the humblest priest, the poet. And I will preach with passion, with favor untold, for my mission concerns your sermon of silver and gold, the church is important to the poet. So that is it.
All right. You want to make a statement about, or you want to move on to the next one?
No, I want to make a very brief statement about that one.
Okay.
I wrote this poem to challenge the idea that spiritual legitimacy must be conferred by wealth, branding, institutional and so on. In many religious spaces today, what we know as oil, scholars, titles, and opulence have replaced human functions. So I have to make a blatant and bold expression that I do not need the oil to be called a preacher or a prophet. What do you need? The collar, which is known to be a symbol of a preacher. I don't need a collar to be a preacher. Once I have my conscience right and I have my words inside, I can choose myself and tell Christ to all the nations. So without having to be oil in the head or going about with white scholar. Okay, so the point is that prophecy is ethical before it is ceremonial, and that poetry itself can be a copy when the official meaning has been complemented. I don't know if you had that. Poetry itself can be a copy when the official copy has been implemented. So we live in a time where the official copy we all know have been compromised. So the only pulpit left now is poetry, and I'm doing justice to that. Right.
Yeah.
So that is it about that very point.
Yeah. So is there anyone in the house who has access to these poems on the platform? Okay, you're not on the Barnabas, you're not on the platform. Have you seen a poem? Okay, we have not seen. Okay, please move on to the second point because of time.
Okay, the second poem says, if it were now, if it were now. All right, and I read, if it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. I would rather be a Buddhist or a pagan. For Christianity has lost its vision and turned into a symbol of oppression. So if it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. I would rather be a Buddhist or a pagan. For Christianity has lost its vision and turned into a symbol of oppression. If it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. I would rather be a Muslim or a Jain. For Christianity has caused division and spread its message with violence and pain. If it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. I would rather be a Hindu or a Sikh. For Christianity has no compassion and judges others by their race and creed. If it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. I would rather be an atheist. But Christianity has no reason and relies on myth and dogma. If it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. I would rather be a human or a citizen. For what is God but a cruel fiction that robs you of your joy and your vision? Indeed, the church is in trouble with the church.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
if it were now, I wouldn't be a Christian. This poem resonates with what I have been saying about my life and upbringing. You know, with all the discussions I've had about Christianity right from time. Yeah. It is enough to make me an atheist. That is why the quote is saying there that if it were now, it wouldn't be a Christian. It wouldn't be a Christian. Right? This is not to say that other faiths and denominations are way better than Christianity. Yeah. But at least it has had a sense of Christianity right from then. Right. And it has been good. Okay, that's what we told you.
Yeah, I think it's just a poetic exaggeration to make us get the point of your, disillusionment with Christianity, so we understand. Okay, maybe we can.
So I am not attacking beliefs. I am only interrogating how belief has been recognized, how love, has been replaced by judgment, and how faith has sometimes aligned itself with violence. Exclusion and power.
As you are speaking, I'm looking at the faces of some people in this room, and I'm happy that you're not here. You are safe online, because probably if you were here, I know about 2 or 3 persons that would have.
All right. Let me quickly make a comment. If you read the last line or the last lines of that poem, it says, "For what is God?" God there is spelled G-A-O-D. Okay, a symbolism of God. Okay, what is God but a cruel fiction that robs you of your joy and your vision? Now, this goes to buttress the point I made earlier about the absurdity of life, which has made me to feel safe in the hands of humanity, in the hands of being a human person, rather than facing myself as a Christian. So I rather choose to be a human, all right? Yeah. So it all boils down to the quality of life. The beauty is not there. You make me human. You created me, and at the end of it all, you take my life, and then sometimes allow my life to be miserable. Of what use and benefit is that? So I rather prefer to be a humanity person than a Christian. That is
Yeah.
what the film is all about.
Yeah, and some of the people in the room here, they want to know when next you'll be in view.
By Easter should be in a Bible. By Easter should be in a Bible.
Okay, so if you're going to be in a Bible by Easter, we might have 2 crucifixions. Around that time. Okay, so now on to the third point.
Okay, is it the last one now?
Yeah.
Okay, the last poem I want to use this evening is entitled God's Cathedral is Empty. God's Cathedral is empty. Alright? And I read, the pews are dusty. The altar is bare. The stone glass is broken. No one comes to pray anymore. No one comes to sing. No one comes to worship. No one stops. No, the only sound is the wind. The only light is the sun. The only hope is gone. This cathedral is empty. Every man hunts for survival. The streets are crowded. The markets are busy. The guns are loaded. Everyone fights for food. Everyone fights for water. Everyone fights for power. The only rule is might. The only law is fear. The only end is death. God's cathedral is empty. Every man hunts for survival. The world is burning. The climate is changing. The virus is spreading. No one cares for nature. No one cares for science. No one cares for humanity. The only goal is greed. The only value is profit. The only cup is life. God's cathedral is empty. Every man hopes for survival. The sky is dark. The earth is flat. The sea is poisoned. No one sees the signs. No one hears the warning. No one feels the pain. The only truth is ignored. The only voice is silence. The only faith is doomed. God's cathedral is empty. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
with the reading, I would just like to ask you, to take the comment that you have for this last poem, and with it talk about what you perceive as the problems with the current setup of the church or Christianity, and what you think the solutions are as we move forward as a society.
Okay, with the last one.
Yes.
Okay, I should do what? I should align the problems.
The problem with you perceive about the church or Christianity, with the solutions that you expect as we move on as a society.
Okay, when we say the empty cathedral here, it is not about people leaving the church. When I say God's cathedral is empty, I am not saying that people are leaving the church. It is about people abandoning care. It is about people losing the taste of humanity, losing the taste of humanity. The point is what we would call spiritual absence to ecological crisis, all right? Such as violence, economic desperation, killings, lack, and abuse. Right? The poem is further to suggest when faith would come from justice, the world becomes a survival contest rather than a shield. Alright, so this is a lot of the problems we have in today's contemporary society. I have taken time, or the poet, so to say, taken time to highlight all of them in the poem, and then be able to say that God's absence in the poem is symbolic. Okay, and if you look at the poem, God's absence is very symbolic. Now going forward, we just have to understand as humans first. We are human before anything else. Alright? So this poem advocates for the cause of humanity. Alright? Humanity is encapsulated or is depicted in God's cathedral. So we've lost God's cathedral, and that means that we've lost the people being human. So I want to think that going forward, a lot has to be done. We have to address the questions, think differently about life, and then get to the focus of what this poem says. Get to the focus of the the point we need to know, move forward very closely and save humanity.
That's great. So, what are the creative writing advice, pieces of advice you have concerning creative writing you might want to share with your audience right now? Yes, you are into poetry writing, and we are considering poetry, but perhaps you have creative writing advice that you might want to share with your audience regarding the writing of poetry and perhaps other genres of literature.
Okay, in that direction, what I would say, my biggest advice, is this. Writers need to write from the place where they are most uncomfortable telling the truth. All right, you cannot affect humanity from the standpoint of being comfortable. All right, so my advice is that writers, if you want to be a mean writer, you're going to affect the cause of humanity, you must write from the standpoint of being uncomfortable. Means when you are uncomfortable, you can tell the truth. Because the word is telling the truth, which even the pastor is not telling. So the reader or the writer must not write to impress. Because if I needed to write to impress, I would have looked at the years I have stayed in the church, how I have been instrumental to the work of God. I would have looked at the traces of the pastors who are watching me. I would have looked at the traces of my parents who are watching me now. So a lot of things would have been considered. So if you want to be a writer, you must not write to impress. Right? Right? And again, you must not write to trend. You must not write to trend. It's not all about how many likes you have. It's not all about where you go with your poetry. Alright? But then you must write to please the cause of humanity. Okay? So, and again, a good writer is a good leader. If you have not written sufficiently enough, you cannot write. So I would advise that the potential writers should engage in massive reading, they should read widely, but they should not imitate blindly. So that you are reading my words, you must not imitate me blindly. Because we have different standpoints from where we run, from where we make expressions, from where we communicate, talk and feel. Alright? So you must read widely, you must be a good reader, and again, let your context shape your voice. Let your context shape your voice. So for instance, if you are an African writer, a Nigerian, a Christian, even if you are doubtful, even if you are angry, whatever context you find yourself, let that context shape your voice. And again, let that complexity speak for itself. So when we have what I have today to call my works, they are all a reaction, a reflection of the reservations and concerns I have had over the years. Alright? So let the people, the context you find yourself in the society, determine and compare your voice. That is my take.
Okay, so I know that apart from the church is angry with the poet, The church is in trouble with the poet. You've written many other works. Which of them impresses you most, and which you are willing to talk to us about right now?
Okay. I would say I'm trying to look up. I think they're up to 10. They're 10 in number. All right. The one that is always very close to my heart, apart from the church is in trouble with the poet, is that one. That book is called "Tell My Stories the Way They Are." Yeah, I remember the book. Tell My Stories the Way They Are. Now, Tell My Story the Way They Are. Let me tell you a little about the book. Tell My Story the Way They Are. While I was in the wait between 2017 and 2024, my master's in the first PhD, I had a lot of academic and intellectual engagements within and outside the university where I was. And then I had a good friend, Dan Abbas, who was simultaneously doing his master's in the University of Ibadan. So most times they invited me over for symposium and all of that. So there was a particular symposium I attended there in UI where Professor Neo Shundare was asked to speak and dramatize his poem. So I went there because Neo Shundare has been a godfather, an oracle, a literary oracle to look up to. So we were all anxious of seeing him in person. So I went to the symposium, and at the symposium, he was called to make a presentation. So while he came up to present a poem called Hole in the Sky, Hole in the Sky, the first 3-4 lines of the poem, Hole in the Sky, caught my attention. It caught my attention, and then it was what I used to form the book, Tell My Story the Way They Are. They are actually lines, extracted in the first, from the first paragraph or stanza, the first stanza of Neo Shundare's poem, Hole in the Sky. So I know later on I had the opportunity of publishing the book in 2019 when Shundare visited my school then, and had the honor of dramatizing poems from that collection before him, and then gave him the collection, and he started. So that is the circumstances. Those are the circumstances surrounding the publication of that book, Tell My Story the Way They Are. They are actually ecological poems. They are actually humanist perspective poems, and they are all advocacy for humanity.
Okay. So we'll have to bring our discussion to a close at this point. But before then, we need you to give your final words and remarks before we go.
Okay. I must say that this is a very beautiful moment for me. Especially with the fact that many times in the past we have attempted to have this encounter, this engagement, and every time we attempted it would be one problem or the other, network glitches and all of that, and we'll end up not having this conversation. So it is my deepest pleasure and delight that we eventually had to have the conversation today, and I'm most delighted that I have had to listen to Madame International University. We have been working together, though she has not met me once when I came to the library in New York. Or I don't know, but then we have been working together on WhatsApp and all that. So I'm happy to have heard from her today. Been a part of the conversation from the very beginning to this moment. I must say you're doing a good job. And thumbs up. God bless you.
All right, you too. You are doing a great job. You are very prolific in your writing, and I would like you to keep it up. You are making great impact in the world of education, especially in your articles and your contribution to the education system. right from when you were at Sholarin, and now you are in the University of Abuja. You know, so we need that energy. We need that energy to sustain literature in Akwa Ibom, literature in Nigeria, and of course our scholarship. And of course, you know, you're also contributing immensely to the publishing industry. So you are a powerful force wherever you are, and we must thank you for always responding whenever we call on you, especially here at Planeyo Book Circle. We are all grateful for your good work. All we can say is keep going, because very soon the harvest will be real. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a very beautiful, beautiful day.
I can say hi to my mama in the house. Is she available there? I wish I could say hi to her.
No, I will send the greetings. I think she went back. Yeah. No problem. Yeah, so have a great day, Doctor.
Thank you. You too, you too, you too. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Emeka Koborok, all the way from the University of Abuja. He was speaking to us about his life and works, especially his latest poetry collection entitled The Church is in Trouble with the Poet. We are going to take a brief break, during which we will take pictures and just have some moments together. Because when we are back, we're going to take on Lovedor, the author of One of Our Skies, which is of course right here in the house. You need to be reminded that theme song for the month of April here at Planeyo Book Circle is Papa Ute by Stromae. Remember that every month we choose a song to be our theme song. Remember, songs are aspects of cultural production, just like book publishing and creativity. And so all of them go hand in hand, because we are not only looking at books, we are also looking at arts. Of course, book is art itself. And this is Planeyo Book Circle, 5th edition, February 2026 edition. We have great personalities in the house. We have Barnabas Adik, we have Ernest Victoria in the house, and give me the so that I can acknowledge everyone. Yeah, so we have the great mathematician and Kweji, and we also have in the house Daniel Okon, who is here with us today. And online watching, we have the great Peace William himself. We have the Dean of Prince Will, and we have Marcelinus Okorie, a great and top fan of Planeyo Book Circle, all watching us online. And of course, still watching is Emeka Koborok, who has just spoken with us as a star guest on this show. And now, we have to move on to our third guest, the lady of substance, the secretary of Planeyo Book Circle, a debutant, a first-class graduate of marketing from Akwa Ibom State University. She's the author of One of Our Skies. Her name is Lovedor. Lovedor, welcome to Planeyo Book Circle.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome once again to Planeyo Book Circle. So, what do you have to tell the audience? What message do you have for the audience?
You are all welcome.
All right. You made a first class in marketing. from Akwa Ibom State University. Let us start from there. How was that possible? What made it possible? What did you do? Was it through prayers, or was it through hard work, reading, or a combination of prayers, hard work, and reading? How was that possible?
I would like to say that there was the God factor, and then there was discipline. When you have that discipline in you, you can achieve anything. Like waking up to read when every other person is sleeping.
But let me tell you one.
Going to the library to read, and then seeking, talking to people who are ahead of you, getting that knowledge and ways on how they succeeded. So that is how it was possible for me to make a first class.
Okay. So, since graduation, what have you been doing?
I've done a lot. First, when I returned from service, I engaged in teaching. I taught in about 2 secondary schools before I resigned. Then take up a content writing job with Tech Africa, of which I'm still doing that today. I'm into CSC registration. I register businesses, companies, churches, and what more. I'm also in the microfinance. I work in the microfinance bank in Akwa Ibom State. I'm also into writing. Yes, I love writing stories, and one of the stories is what I've published, which is Born Over Scars.
All right, that's great. You've been quite productive since graduation. Let me ask you, what reward were you given by the university for making first class?
It happened that I was the best in my faculty, and as such, during our convocation, the governor of Akwa Ibom State happened to visit us, and so all graduating students who were best in their various faculties were rewarded with a sum of money.
You don't want to mention. What was the name of the governor and what was the amount?
Governor Dum Emmanuel, and it was
About
300,000.
200,000.
Yes.
Okay. That's great, but of course I will sincerely say that first class students should not be allowed to, languish in the job market after graduation. The system, the society itself, the work system itself should be able to take them in as soon as it is possible as a reward for that hard work, that discipline, that dedication. And of course, the sum of money that is given to first class graduates, graduating students, should be something that will inspire others to sit down and read in order to have a first class, and not assumed by when the amount is mentioned, it looks as if it is not appreciated, because in that case, that kind of appreciation may not be appreciation at all. Right? Given that no direct employment, no immediate employment, and no worthwhile amount is given for the reward. So these are the issues that we need to look into, because I keep saying that there is that is how we treat intellectualism in our society. If it was a dancing competition now, somebody won, we will splash the person with 25 million, and then the person is made for life. But Students who distinguished themselves made first class in school, and then is worth with 300,000. We must do away with that kind of system or reward because it's support. Okay, so tell us about your primary. I don't know. You did attend nursery. So tell us about nursery, primary education, and secondary school. How was it like when you were going to school?
Okay, I schooled at Methodist Primary School, and
Where is it located?
at North Economic Government area.
Okay.
And so I wasn't that familiar with the environment, being that I was born at Calabar, Cross River State. So coming back to school in the state, in my local government, it was somehow challenging because we were expected to know EBBO, like how to, let me use the video, it will Bobby call. You call a video, and then you will be asked, a word will be pronounced, and then you are asked to spell it in Ibibio. So while I struggled to get used to it, I also learned in the process, and then we had good teachers there who were able to drill us. In my primary school, if you are not able to read, you were given a punishment that will make you to stay away from school. In fact, it will even make you to tell your parents that you don't want to school there anymore. So it was an interesting experience. And I moved from Methodist Primary School to Ikongo High School, still in Ikongo government area. I happened to meet Mrs. Ima Bonbe, our English teacher, who taught us poetry. She was amazing, and so she is one of the persons that inspired me to pick up writing. And whenever she introduces a book, I try to recreate it, like rewrite the story using another storyline. And so at some point in time when I submitted it to her, she was okay with it, and then told me that I have a skill, and so I should try to train myself in that direction and see it come to light. So it was an interesting experience, both my primary and secondary.
Okay, so at what point did you think of writing Barnabas Cars?
While at service, I come in contact with so many persons. I see brilliant and intelligent minds who happen to get married, and then they lost their voice in the process. They became shadows of themselves, and then they did not live their dream. And so it pricked me to write something about it. Though at some point I abandoned it, but when I returned home, I happened to experience the same pattern. You see a girl who was very bright in her school, who was outstanding, and then once she got married, she began to dim her light. And so that was the reason why I had to pen down this story.
Where did you serve?
I served in New Era Comprehensive High School at Imo State, as Mbobala Development Area of Imo State.
So how was the NYC experience for you?
Being that I relocated from Taraba State to Imo State, it wasn't really a nice experience because the people there were kind of trying to exploit core members. Yes, and so it wasn't really a nice experience. Even the school, they were expecting us to walk like elephants, being that we were coming back, and at the end of the day, even what they promised to be giving us monthly, it became a problem onto them. So it wasn't a nice experience, but I'm glad that I was able to save and complete my assignment.
Yeah, so Born Over Scars. What does the title of the book mean to you?
Okay. Since the book is about a certain woman who had a promising dream, who wanted to become the best fashion designer in her community, and even had her dream reshaped when she traveled out of the state. We realized that when you keep on reading, you find out that she couldn't achieve those dreams any longer. And that became a problem to her. A problem because the society expects that as a married woman, you should stay in marriage. You should stay married no matter what happens. They say it is for good or worst. And then even in the religious circle, we are expected to be that virtuous woman who builds her home instead of scattering it. So Amy was able to board a scar to be called whatever name and then rebuild her life. So this is like someone coming out from a painful state and then becoming that which she had always wanted to be.
Okay, so I have written a review of Love With Us, Born Over Scars. I will read the review now, and then after that she will read the work. Then we have some more discussions, and then we'll bring the session to a close. The review is on my personal blog, ayoitem.com. You can visit to read it alongside with me as I read it. Of Love, Scars, and Scale. A review of Love With Us, Born Over Scars. Title: Born Over Scars. Author: Love With Us. Place: Town of Publication, Rio. Publishers: Planeyo Publishers. Year of publication: 2025. ISBN 978-978-6190754. Pagination: preliminary pages 6, main pages 100, total 106 pages. Priceless. Reviewer: Ayoitem. Theme quote: Scars can be beautiful or ugly. It's just how you look at them. They adorn our skin, tell us where we've been and all we've been. Just a taste. Introduction: Love With Us, Born Over Scars is a novella that depicts the trauma that most women in Nigeria and Africa are subjected to in relationships and marriages by the people who should love and trust them. It is written against the background of patriarchy and its dominance in the author's milieu. Patriarchal structures position the males in positions of power, which is subject to abuse by the unconscionable and the unconscientized among the males. Iboro is one of such males, and his wife is caught in the web of this power abuse depicted in Love With Us, Born Over Scars. The unbalanced power relations between the two parties bring about the differing outcomes in the qualities of their lives, with one suffering while the other enjoys. Another aspect of gender relations raised in the work is the reaction of the victim. In most extant literature, victimhood is often are linked with powerlessness and choicelessness. However, this is not entirely the case with Ini. As shown in the novel, there is a limit to the extent the human grit can endure oppression and victimization before reacting through resistance. This is the lesson that every woman and all oppressed persons must learn, especially in a world where the oppressor usually acts without remorse. At a point, Ini opts to take back control and fine-tune her life back to the frequency of meaning and significance. It is only then that she gains respect and dignity, even from a former oppressor, Ibora. How then should we read Love Odo's work? A love story gone wrong? That is a tragic romance? Or should we read it as a growing up novel, a build-on roman in matters of life and love? Certainly, it is a trauma novel that depicts love in a tragic tale that later ends happily. So is it a comedy or a tragic comedy? And there you can see the picture of the cover of the novel. Before we proceed to synopsis, Ini has a humble birth and rises through life through the instrumentality of education, hard work, resourcefulness, grit, brilliance, and intelligence, described in the novel through winning competitions, combining education and tailoring skills, opting to attend the university despite poverty and hardship, as well as paying a focused attention to her studies. Eventually, Ini graduates and goes for NYSC in Kaduna, where she meets Ibora, the love of her life, whom she first met in New York at a cyber cafe. However, at the end of the orientation exercise, they separate in circumstances that keep them apart for many months until they reunite at the hospital where Ini works and where Ibora's father is taken for treatment. Love is reignited and soon blossoms into an unwanted pregnancy. Ibora and her parents are forced to take responsibility and do the right thing by marrying Ini into the family through a quiet, lusterless ceremony. But Ibora has to leave for further studies abroad, while Ini is left to tend to the pregnancy and the baby. The second separation will lead to crisis in the marriage because it soon results in abandonment and neglect, giving room for infidelity on the part of Ibora, leading to loneliness and silent suffering for him. The cracks in the loveless marriage relationship deepens and widens when Ibora returns from abroad and finds Ini most unappetizing, apparently having met a more attractive lady, perhaps an American lady. But he gifts Ini another pregnancy, which produces a female child gift. Ini leaves the marriage when she can no longer bear the infidelity, the abuse, the disrespect, the neglect from Ibora and her parents-in-laws. She decides to make something out of her life by taking up a position at a group of companies in Port Harcourt, where she impresses the CEO, Mr. Debai. From there, she is able to publish her first book, Broken But Becoming. Then she proceeds abroad for a master's degree in genetics at Harvard University. Upon the completion of her studies, Inyabong Sunday returns to Nigeria and takes up a teaching position in the University of Uyo. She equally sets up a fashion designing company in pursuit of her passion in tailoring. Ini publishes her second book entitled Whole, a memoir of becoming. At the launch of the book, Ibora attends with the two children and envies the rise of Ini. He then decides that he wants her back. He begins pestering her for forgiveness and reunion, but Ini cannot be assuaged. Eventually, Ini is broken. During a quiz competition she supervises, seeing the excellence of Kingsley, her son, she decides to accept the children back, but to throw away the father into the dustbin of oblivion where such men rightly belong. Structure and organization. Love Odo's Born of Her Scars is organized in 6 chapters with a preface penned by the author. Subject matter: The subject matter of Love with Us, Born of Our Scars is a traumatic love relationship as well as resistance to gender oppression. The subject matter is demonstrated in the characterization of Ibora Etefia and Ebong Sunday. Ibora and her parents marry reluctantly and quietly after the confrontation with pregnancy. The entire marriage episode between Ibora and Ini is an endurance test for the woman who endures infidelity, abuse, both emotional and physical, and neglect. She endures the loveless marriage until she decides to leave to rebuild a broken and ruined life. Thus, Ini becomes an independent woman who works, writes, studies, gains government employment, sets up her own business, and publishes her books. With the independence, she's able to accept her children who for years have been yearning for motherly love. Unfortunately, she does not want to be involved in the drama of marriage with Ibora ever again. Plot. Love with Us, Born of Our Scars has a chronological plot structure as the story proceeds from the beginning to the end. The novel accounts for the life of Inyobong Sunday from childhood until she becomes an adult, qualifying as a form of Bildungsroman. Ini's life begins in the village in Okana, where she attends secondary school and wins an essay competition organized by the wife of Akwa State Governor. There is a trip to Abuja as a reward for the essay victory. Ini then studies nursing at the University of Calabar. She graduates and leaves for NYC. She meets Ibora and eventually gets married to him. The marriage suffers setbacks, marred by abuse and infidelity. Ini then leaves the marriage to be on her own and pursue her dreams beyond just being a housewife. She eventually succeeds and becomes a fulfilled woman in life. Setting. The novel is set in post-colonial and post-independence Nigeria with a temporal setting placed in contemporary times. Place names like Okana, Uyo, Enugu, Port Harcourt, and Kaduna situate the spatial setting of the novel in Nigeria. Point of view. The novel is written from the third-person narrative point of view. This is seen right from the opening paragraph, which says Ini was her mother's replica, calm, gentle, and intelligent, though far more reserved and curious than most girls in her age. Page 1. Themes. Among the themes raised in Love with Us, Born of Our Scars are gender oppression and resistance to oppression, unwanted pregnancy, education as key to self-development, trauma in love relationships, infidelity, poverty, the dialectics between the province and the metropolis, rural-urban movement, courage to rebuild one's life after a failed relationship, healing through independence and responsibility, a mother's love for her children, and class in marriage. Characterization. The heroine of the novel is Inyobong Sunday. She is described as an intelligent girl raised from a humble background by her parents in the village. But through academic excellence and dedication to her duties, Ini rises to become a star, undaunted by a failed marriage relationship with Ibora. Ibora Etefia is Ini's husband. He appears to love her until she takes him. Then he treats her like an option, left her behind in Nigeria for his studies abroad, becomes unfaithful to her, neglects her emotionally and physically, among other forms of maltreatment. Ibora is portrayed as narcissistic, an abusive man who capitalizes on his class and status to praise his wife. The other characters in the novel are minor characters. They include Inyobong's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Sunday, Dr. Etefia, Kingsley and Gift, Beauty, Mr. Raymond Luke, Edet, Pastor Ekanem, Emma Sweetie, and Kaite, Mr. Debayo, and Ubong, Mr. Niedi, Miss Edet, Lisa Sien, and Mrs. Nsabong, among others. Mrs. Maggie Sunday is a loving and caring mother. She's Ini's mother. She supports Inyobong's dreams and sacrifices along with her husband to see her through life and education. Dr. Etefia is Ibora's father. He is a retired lecturer from the University of Uyo. Kingsley and Gift are the male and female children produced by the marriage between Ibora and Ini. Mr. Raymond Luke is Ini's favorite lecturer in the University of Calabar. He's a lecturer in the Department of English and inspires the students through his lectures. Beauty is the lady that Ibora cheats with. She's Ibora's secondary school crush. Edet is another man in Ini's life before she met Ibora. Edet is a banker with Semi Bank. Pastor Ekanam is the man of God who intervenes for Ini when Ibora and his parents attempt to shirk in their responsibilities towards her after getting pregnant for Ibora. And Kaite is the person Ini stays with in Port Harcourt after a failed marriage with Ibora. Emma is the girl in the neighborhood whom Ini also suspects to be in a moral relationship with Ibora. Sweetie is how the lady Ini suspects to be cheating with Ibora is served on his spoon. Ubang is the head boy at Ukana Community Secondary School who recommends Ini and a tailoring skills to the teachers and the school. Miss Enedi is Ini's teacher of English in secondary school. Mrs. Edet is the principal in the school where Ini attends. Mrs. Nsabong is the librarian in the school Ini attends. Liz Essien is the student from a wealthy background who Ini meets at the University of Calabar. They became friends after Ini acted to save her from being raped on campus. Language and style. Labodo's Barnabas Cars is written in post-colonial English. The language is a mixture of standard English, Nigerian English, Pidgin, and some Ibibio words. An except that exemplifies standard English is rendered thus. Marriage, the elders said, was a river with two banks. You could not tell where the crocodile lay, sleeping until it snapped. An except that illustrates the use of Pidgin in the work is given thus. If I know, give am call, waiting you go do. The except that illustrates the use of Ibibio, especially in the novel, is a song and it goes thus. I don't know how to sing the song. Maybe the author will sing for us because the writer will know the song in the work. Right? Other aspects of language and style in the novel are foreshadowing irony, the use of dream, as well main among others. Evaluation. Love with Husband of Ascar is a beautifully crafted novel on various subjects like the struggle that children from poor homes experience while trying to navigate their path in life, the patriarchal oppression of the woman, and the importance of asserting one's independence as a panacea for a failed marriage relationship. The work is well published with clean and clear pages, legible fonts, and a cover whose title synchronizes with the picture. Born of Ascars has interesting life lessons for the readers, usually the girl child and the woman. The novel is also capable of conscientizing men in the art of gender relations. I recommend it to all readers irrespective of time and climate. Conclusion. This review has revealed the selling points of Lobodo's debut novella, Born of Ascars. From the review, it is seen that the work centers on the female gender's experience in a patriarchal society, raising questions about the safety of women in marriages and how they are supposed to act when relationships fail. The review equally praises the novella's crafting in terms of language use and other structural issues. Packed with life lessons, the novella certainly is a major contribution or addition to the Akwa Ibom literature, Nigerian literature, African literature, and world literature. It ought to be read by all. Recommendation. I recommend Born of Ascars by Lobodo to the literary world. Readers, both young and old, will definitely gain from reading the story of Ini as captured in the work. Students in secondary schools and universities should read this novel so as to be guided in life. Teachers, counselors, and mentors should equally have a copy of this book. It is a gift to women. And that is the review. Now, I would like you to read a passage from the novel that impresses you most, and then we have a discussion, and then we are done.
Okay, so I want to read chapter 3, and it says, "It was a beautiful Monday morning, and the students of Ukana Community Secondary School were gathered at the assembly ground. They were neatly arranged in rows according to classes. The air was still, save for the occasional rustling of leaves and the faint chatter of students awaiting the day's announcement. At exactly 7:50 a.m., the principal, Mrs. Edith, stepped onto the raised platform. She was a composed woman in her early 50s, known for her discipline and dignity. As she adjusted the megaphone, a hush fell across the crowd. "Good morning, students and staff." "Good morning, ma'am," the school chorused in unison. She scanned the assembly, then cleared her throat. "Before we proceed with today's announcement, I would like to recognize the exceptional achievement by one of our students, an achievement that has brought honor not just to this school, but to our entire local government." A murmur of interest moved through the students. Some of you may recall the recent concluded First Ladies Essay Competition, which invited students from across the senatorial district to submit essays on the topic Akwa Ibom State, the land of promise. I am pleased to inform you that one of our own, Ms. Iniobong Sunday, of SS3B, emerged first in the entire Ikotopeni senatorial district. And there was a moment of torn silence, followed by applause, beginning from the teachers and rippling through the student body. Ms. Ini Sunday's entry stood out not just for its depth and clarity, but for its display of historical awareness, analytical insight, and genuine passion for her state. Her writing reflected the voice of a young person who understands her heritage and believes in the future of Akwa Ibom. She paused and turned toward Ini, who stood among her peers wide-eyed. "Miss Iniebong Sunday, please step forward." Nervously, Ini made her way to the front. Her uniform was neat and well ironed. The principal extended a certificate and offered her a firm handshake.
Okay, so let me ask you, is this novel autobiographical, or are there aspects of the novel that are autobiographical, meaning they could be linked to the life of the author?
I could say that some parts of the novel are autobiographic.
Like which parts?
Okay, like the one that has to do with the essay competition.
So then you won an essay competition?
Yes.
Okay, let us know what happened, how did that happen?
Okay. While in my SS3, I came across an announcement on the radio by Laurel University, where an essay competition was organized, was announced, and then it was organized by the wife of the state governor then, Her Excellency Ekaite Mama Akwabi. And so it was for all the public secondary schools in Akwa Ibom State. I happened to be one of the participants. I took part in the competition and emerged victorious. I won the first position because it was in the senatorial district, first in the whole senatorial district. And so I was among the first there.
Okay, so how about the journey part to Abuja? Was it also part of the competition?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this novel talks about the gender relations in marriage, okay? And in this case, it leads to separation. I understand that in extant gender literature, it's usually advisable for the woman to leave the marriage when it threatens the peace of mind, the life, and all of that. But as a Christian, understand, as a Christian, of which we preach forgiveness, in Christianity. So when the man comes back to ask for forgiveness, why does he not forgive? So where is the place of forgiveness when people do wrong and ask for forgiveness?
Okay, from the story, when Ibora asked for forgiveness, Amy told him that he forgave her. And so, but having to reunite again in marriage is what she cannot guarantee. And so this is just a story. And stories sometimes are not real, and sometimes, and sometimes we write it so that it will reach people.
Okay, because I'm wondering what is the use of the forgiveness if it does not bring the couple back together again, right?
Well, and maybe she does not want to experience that trauma again, because sometimes Igbo could say that he's repented, he has repented, and maybe if he's able to reunite with his family, he might still exhibit those characteristics that drove my way in the first place.
Okay.
That's just
Yeah, so and also in depicting that separation, as long as he left, it didn't appear as if she cared so much about the children or what was happening to them all of that time. She didn't ask questions, didn't try to visit, was just pursuing her success. Do you think that was selfish?
Well, from the story, she wanted to take her children with her, but Ibora and his parents had to take away the children from her, and so she was left with nothing that to do herself and then get back to her children.
Okay, and even when she decides to get involved with the children without the man, she taking into consideration the impact of single parenting on children? You know, when she looks out only for safety and well-being without also considering that of the children.
Well, I would say that I think Iboro was capable of taking care of them. That's why he took them from her in the first place. Because we've seen situations whereby when a woman separates from her husband, they take along their children and take care of them. And then the man later comes back to their life to claim the children. And so this time around, I think it was the man's turn, so he wanted to take care of them so that maybe later on the woman will come back to claim the children, as the case may be.
It's okay, and there are still points like this that we need to raise about the novel. I know very well that the marriage between Ini and Iboro was somehow like it was low-key, understand? And it was low-key. I don't know whether it was traditional marriage or whether it was church marriage in the house or whether it was both combined, but I think it was, there was a kind of marriage. But so if you are leaving the marriage, if you are, whatever marriage it was, whether it was court or church or traditional marriage, there's no process of disengagement. So because for me that just seems like married people who are living separately when the marriage has not ended officially. All right. I don't think that was really clarified in the novel.
Now, from the novel, when Iboro left for his studies abroad, he was left abandoned and unsupported. And then he was living there freely, and with the fact that Ini from the outset was not accepted by his parents, they were hostile to her. So at some point she couldn't bear it any longer, so she had to leave.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That living is like two couples living apart because we have not seen an official way of ending the marriage, right? Whether it is traditional, whether it is a court, whether it's through church and all of that. So what do you say to that?
when she wanted leave, at least because the husband was around, so he didn't try to stop her from going. And then we also have that Ini invited the very pastor that was there when she was engaged. And so when they gathered and talked about the whole thing, Iboro had to tell her that he was no longer interested. And so that's just where it ended.
No return of bride price. No. Well, so because for me, I would think the marriage subsists. Maybe in the future, it will be properly ended, or probably they will come back together. You know, who knows? And okay, so finally, let us talk about your inspiration for creative writing. That is what keeps you going as a creative writer. What inspires you to write? Mentors, books, and all of that.
People who inspired me to write. I'll start with Mrs. Zima Bomobi, my then SS1 English teacher, and then I happened to meet another good mentor, who is Dr. Ayotin, the person who gave me the reason to publish this book. And as while in my secondary school, I came across Purple Hibiscus. That was when the inspiration to write came. I could remember gathering my once I was done reading that book, because I've been writing short stories, and so my siblings have been reading it. So I gathered them and told them that I needed to publish my stories that I've been writing, and so they laughed at me. So when my dad asked me to bring the book home, and I rushed to my cupboard where I used to put my book, I realized that it was not there. So our last born brought some papers telling me that he found them in the toilet. So that's how I lost everything that I've been writing there. So Chimamanda's Popular Discourse inspired me a lot, and also Don't Marry Angelica. Those two novels actually my inspiration to write.
Okay, so what creative writing advice do you have for the audience?
Okay, I would say if you have passion, whatever you have passion for, you should you have to keep doing it. You keep writing. As you write daily, it will end up being perfect at it. And of course, you know that you cannot just be a writer without being a reader. And so you have to read wide, gain the knowledge, and then one day you become a star.
Okay, so when do we expect your next book?
That will be as the spirit leads.
All right. So that was Love Without, the author of Born Over Scars. She has shared with us the inspiration behind the writing of the novel, and we hope that she remains strong in the art of writing and in her other engagements in the future. We will soon bring Planeyo Book Circle to a close, but we need to take a break, and when we are back, we just do some form of reading, and then that will be all.
Place to have your quality. Are you looking for a place
to have your quality printing done in Uyo, look no further than Planeyo Publishers for your quality direct imaging printing. Our services include graphic design, photocopy, color photocopy, typing and printing, lamination, flex and poster, book publishing, wedding and burial programs, ID card printing, passport printing, photo enlargement. You can also make your gifts more valuable when you brand them. Let's brand your gift items and souvenirs. Visit Planeyo Publishers at number 2 Eka Street off Ikodepene Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call 0802 7898 705 002 789 8705. Planeyo Publishers, publishing your dream work. Are you looking for a place to have your quality printing done in Uyo? Look no further than Planeyo Publishers for your quality direct imaging printing. Our services include graphic design, photocopy, color photocopy, typing and printing, lamination, flex and poster, book publishing, wedding and burial programs, ID card printing, passport printing, photo enlargement. You can also make your gifts more valuable when you brand them. Let's brand your gift items and souvenirs. Visit Planeyo Publishers at number 2 Eka Street off Ikodepene Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call 0802 7898 705 002 789 8705. Planeyo Publishers, publishing your dream works. Are you looking for a place to have your quality printing done in Uyo? Look no further than Planeyo Publishers for your quality direct imaging printing. Our services include graphic design, photocopy, color photocopy, typing and printing, lamination, flex and poster, book publishing, wedding and burial programs, ID card printing, passport printing, photo enlargement. You can also make your gifts more valuable when you brand them. Let's brand your gift items and souvenirs. Visit Planeyo Publishers at number 2 Eka Street off Ikodepene Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call 0802 7898 705 002 789 8705. Planeyo Publishers, publishing your dream works.
Alright, we are back, and this is still Planeyo Book Circle, the 5th edition, the February 2026 edition. We are in a reading session right now. Each person has a book that will open to any part of the book they would like to read, and read for us and make some comments about what they read, and then we move on to the next person, and then we are done. I think we should begin with Barnabas.
So I am on to Virtual Chants by AIT. I'm reading from page 196. The title of the poem is This Is My Story. I'm just going to read the poem out. This is my story. Let's watch the plot evolve. Woven by the master's artistry to glorify his name again. It's a tale of two cities which combines forces to plot my destruction and plan my burial while I'm alive. They come from hell's heaven, having sworn to die if they fail. They will surely die because victory is the Lord's. They put together resources. They travel long distances, they form alliances, pay heavily for information just to get me real. They try to alienate me, to make me feel isolated. Through cruel words posted to my allies, they aim to cause my psychological harm. For what is a lecturer without his brain? To make me feel surrounded, trapped in the valley of death, with no way of escape. They are here in Amia Estates, having come from New Bodija. They search for my Achilles heels and use them to hunt me down. It's the largest gang up in my neighborhood, and their arsenal is aimed at the very tiny me. They make my life hell every moment of the day. They hide out of view to speak despicable things. Cowards! They cannot come out to face me. But the Most High knows them, and He will expose them. They are not the first, and will not be the last. Whoever position themselves to pull me down, but they will always flee in defeat. Because Jesus is my fortress, my defender in distress. I only watch as they retreat in shame. Alright, so this is a very powerful story. Of course, the title of the poem is "This is my story," and it more or less speaks of the protection that we have from the God factor, so that in as much as we go through a lot of things in life, a lot of oppression, a lot of victimization, and what have you, that there is somebody who stands in the middle to always protect you from whatever you go through. It is also noteworthy to note that the writer uses the first person pronoun I in many places in the poem, which could attest to the happenings in the poet's life, the writer's life. So that shows that the poet is talking about himself, what has been going on in his life, and all of that. But the utmost trust that the poet has is that Jesus is always at the center, who defends him in all of this. So this is really, really a powerful work that resonates with me this evening.
Alright. Daniel.
Okay, good evening viewers. My name is Daniel Korn. I'm going to read a very interesting book. Let me call it a poetry book, a poem book written by Dr. Ayo. Okay, I'm going to read one of the interesting parts. It is titled Idam Science Park. Oh, Idam Science Park.
So the collection is edited. It's edited by Ayo. So being an edited work, it means that there are poems there that has individual authorship. So you have to mention the author before you proceed.
Okay. Okay, the author for this particular poem is Edith Emmanuel.
Okay.
Oh, Eden Science Park. How small we were when we first visited you. The joy of going to the stream, playing hide and seek in your sweet pool, watching a mom wash her tiny clothes, the calm cold face of my village stream, the breezy waves and the smooth water surface. The trees were all at resting place. Oh, my village stream, a place we first learned how to swim, our first swimming pool. It was sure joy when we felt the peace and comfort. Spending hours in the water was our only pastime. Our dream very night was always about your pleasant girl, a place we discover new games to play each day. The stream was our second home. Growing up to still visit God's given nature, all at heart yet waxing strong. My village stream, how I cherish you in my heart. Okay, this is a poem written by Edith Emmanuel. From the title of the book, from the title of the poem, Dr. Ayo edited a work that talked about the nature, and in Edith Emmanuel, she's trying to give credit to their old science-packed stream, which talked about how during their growing up days, how they used to how they used to visit the stream, the play day, the rest day, even when their parents were washing their clothes, the way they trying to give themselves the happiness that is surrounded in the stream. So the work talks about the work talks about the work talked about nature. Sorry, the work talked about nature, the beauty side of nature, how nature is meaningful to us.
Okay, you done. All right, Mr. Kweji.
My name is Anne, and I'm reading from Rose of 279. The title is The Birthday Wish. Today is my birthday. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I have a birthday wish. Pay 279. At 42, I don't have a wife. I don't have a child. I don't have a land. I don't have a house. I don't have a car. Or any other thing that defines societal success. But I work every day. I have gone to school. I have certificates. And I give my best at work. I am not complaining. I am grateful to the Creator of all, who knows our destiny and our fate. But we operate in an inhumane system, where some have positioned themselves to frustrate the dreams and aspirations of others. I am here to resist that inhumane system, no matter what it costs me. I have fought for others. It is time I fought for myself. Sir, Madam, you must pay 279. You cannot ignore 279. You cannot sweep it under the carpet. You cannot pretend that 279 does not exist. These were people who worked for 16 months without pay. For 12 years now, the money has lost its value, but you must pay 279. Those who block the payment of 279 will eat but feel no satisfaction. They will drink water and feel no fulfillment. Those who sold out 279 will never know peace. Those who mortgage 279 for positions of authority will never know peace. Those who fight for their flesh demands but place 279 lasts or refuse to mention it at all will never know peace. Sir, Madam, you must pay 279. It is the sweat of the orphan, the pain of the oppressed, the anguish of the hungry laborer who works for 16 months without payment. If you were a human being, your conscience would have made you restless until the money is paid. But since you are a devil, it does not concern you because you have no conscience. Prepare to kill me, then use the money to buy my coffin and arrange my funeral because you like sponsoring funerals. But you must pay 279. I don't have a birthday wish, except that you must pay 279. This is my own rights challenge. Pay 279. I know that a group of occultic people have ganged up against me. They block everything good that comes my way and have vowed that I'll never amount to anything in life. But they are not God, and they must pay 279. Call me names, but please pay 279. Set me up all you want, but please pay 279. Block my dreams all you want, but please pay 279. Friends, do not wish me happy for me. I'm not happy at 42. Ask them to pay 279. So I think this passage is like I'm reading from Samuel. This is a very angry worker that has given all his life or her life to work for something and is not getting the rewards. Also, I don't think that God is responsible for our problems. I think the world does not really favor. I'm not saying people don't work hard, but the world does not really reward people who are smart or people who work hard. It punishes people who are sort of ignorant in a certain way. I'm not saying people who work hard are not smart and all that, but there are rules in the world that you have to follow. Being a good person of the
anyway, I think being in this country can relate to emotions of this particular person. Every other person, including myself.
All right. Dr. Ernest, read as long as you can, as short as you can, and then explain any part of the book. Only it's a paragraph.
Okay, so this is the public lecture. My name is Victoria Lawrence. Thank you. And this is the public lecture delivered by Dr. Parents. I'll read a paragraph here. 1.5. Not many people love criticism because it is usually introduced to them as an abstract full of many confusing reasons. However,
Maybe she wants to be the one to read.
However, criticism can be interesting when it is focused on the art object rather than on itself. Thus, those who go on to become great and excellent critics are those who fall in love, first of all, with the art that they criticize. This could be music, movie, food, painting, or
Yeah, I like that food.
any good student of literary criticism is a lover of the literary work, be it poetry, drama, or prose. It should be noted that in contemporary criticism, society itself has been transformed into a text whose aesthetics the critic can comment on depending on the existing and subsisting realities. This is what I call the textualization of society, where everything and every occurrence in society has a literary or story value. When society is storified, society can then become an art object which can be closely examined and criticized. So this booklet is defining criticism unlike how we know it to be. And I love the definition here that first of all, people who criticize must excellently criticize any artwork, must first of all fall in love with it before being able to criticize it effectively. So that's the first one.
Okay, well done.
Good evening, everyone. I'm reading from A Migrant Advocate, written by Efion Idefe. I'm reading page 38, that's chapter 2. It says, as early as 9 a.m. the following morning, Obadiah's number blinked in Satai's phone. Satai, who was arranging files in his study, hurried to the parlor where the ringing phone was kept. He caught the call and called again. After exchanging pleasantries with his cousin, he dropped what seemed like a bombshell. Nda, are you in school or prison? Both, Obadiah smartly answered. My guide duped me when I arrived in Noah Port. That was the morning I would have prepared my papers to do. He disappeared into thin air and left me wandering in a strange land. I was doing all kinds of menial jobs to survive in the desert. One day, I saw him far off. I ran after what looked like his shadow, and it turned out to be him. Without asking questions, I threw my whole weight of 220 pounds on him and punched him continually in anger until I brought him down. I then sat down on his abdomen and continued punching him until people gathered and eventually took me off him. He was lifeless by the time they separated us. That was how I ended up in prison, convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years. However, after 3.5 years of showing remorse and being of good behavior, I was given a payroll to take effect after completing 4 years in prison, provided I can pay $12,000. The condition is that I will be pardoned and flown to Europe. So far, I have paid $3,000. It remains $9,000. How are you going to make up the $9,000? No hope anywhere. I am a prisoner. It is pointless telling a starving man that there is food in the farm. Now, this chapter tells us about a student who was duped by someone outside the country, someone who had promised to process his school, process his passport and everything that has to do with schooling abroad. And so he finally took him to Europe and he left him stranded. He did not pay and did not process anything. And so when he finally caught hold of him, he punched him to death. And so he was imprisoned in Europe. Now, this shows the manifestation of anger. And so even the Bible says we should be slow to act when we are angry. Perhaps if he did not act out of anger, maybe he wouldn't have killed someone and so he wouldn't have been in prison. That's the solution.
All right. Thank you very much. I am reading from Apple Rococo, a poem entitled "They Are Not Your Friends." They are not your friends who only give you drinks to make you drunk so that they can proclaim your drunken habits to the world. They are not your friends who acquaint you with the cheapest bars in town but never show the most affordable lands they have bought. They are not your friends who flatter you in your presence but demonize you in your absence. They are not your friends who hide the best ideas from you but belittle your dreams. They are not your friends who only want to stay ahead while you trail from a comfortable behind. They are not your friends who remember you only when it is time to drink but forget you when it is time to dream. They are not your friends, so scrutinize your friends. So we live in a time when friendship is very costly. In fact, friendship is so costly that people cannot afford it. And that's why some people either have fake friends, like fake currency, or they don't have any at all, because there's no original friends again. And so the poem is a call for us to examine our relationships, our friendship, to see whether it is actually real or whether it is counterfeit. And how do you know a true friend? Is by their actions, not only by their words. Okay? And so a friend is supposed to be someone that wants you to grow, wants you to get better, wants you to do better, not one who is jealous, wants to keep you down, through closeness that help them perform their wicked acts. So that's what that poem is all about. Scrutinize your relationship. And that is where we bring Planeyo Book Circle a full cycle. Today, the 5th edition of Planeyo Book Circle comes full circle. And I'm grateful to everyone who has stayed on until now. All the great minds in the house, Barnabas, Balgudor, Victoria, Daniel, and thank you very much. You guys have been amazing. And I thank the guests who have been here, especially Mrs. Helen Alfred B. from the National Library, Dr. Emeka Nkuburuk all the way from the University of Abuja, Balgudor here present. I thank all those who watched online, Peace William, If you're on item, Prince Wekba, you should be a member of Planeyo Book Circle. Reach out to me straight away. And Prince Will, thank you so much. And of course, Marcelinus Corey, God bless you for your good works. I'm very happy, and I hope to see you next month, first Saturday in March. We'll be having our 6th edition of Planeyo Book Circle. We are going places, we are making progress. Have a very beautiful, beautiful day.